Me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite foreign film, Powder Donut. Okay, what's my line?
The only line I see here on the script is get options based on your budget with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus.
The Name Your Price tool, only from Progressive.
The owl ran afoul of the comatose coxswain.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite foreign film, Powder Donut. Okay, what's my line?
The only line I see here on the script is get options based on your budget with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus.
The Name Your Price tool, only from Progressive.
The owl ran afoul of the comatose coxswain.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for downloading Beer Nuts for free on iTunes or from ChristopherMedia.net. Please make sure to rate Beer Nuts 5 stars on iTunes and help to tell others about Beer Nuts by leaving a comment. Thank you for following Beer Nuts on Twitter at Beer Nuts Podcast and on Instagram at Beer Nuts Podcast. Please like the Beer Nuts Podcast on Facebook to like and share Beer Nuts. If you'd like to donate to Beer Nuts, you can click on the PayPal button at ChristopherMedia.net. If you use Amazon.com, please click and bookmark the Amazon link at ChristopherMedia.net. It will not cost you any extra money, and you will help to support Beer Nuts. If you're looking to launch your own website, please click through the HostGator banner at ChristopherMedia.net. Christopher Media uses HostGator to host all of the shows produced by the Christopher Media Network. When you click through the HostGator banner at ChristopherMedia.net and sign up for HostGator, you are helping to support Beer Nuts. TheBroBasket.com. Guys are tired of all those boring socks and ties. BroBasket is the answer to the age-old question, what do I get a guy? We know that choosing the perfect gift for a man is a difficult task, but not anymore. TheBroBasket.com is here to help. We all know men are hard to shop for, but what do guys actually like? Their favorite alcohol, that's what. It could be craft beer, wine, whiskey, scotch, or tequila. TheBroBasket.com will put it in a gift basket full of their favorite gear and goodies. You can customize your own BroBasket or choose from a variety of different BroBaskets, like the Ultimate Import Sampler, the Jack and Coke gift set, or the Junior Executive gift basket. Boozeless but still cool BroBaskets are also available. TheBroBasket.com gives you many shipping options to choose from, including rush delivery and Saturdays. 21 and over, please. State and local laws apply. Beer, wine, and liquor are not available for shipping in all states. You can help to support Christopher Media by clicking through the BroBasket.com banner at ChristopherMedia.net. Alcohol gift baskets. What men really want. Men used to be hard to shop for. TheBroBasket.com.
Christopher Media, let's make some noise. Welcome to Beer Nuts, a weekly excursion into the world of craft beer, brought to you by MichiganBeerGuide.com. And now, here are the Beer Nuts.
Okay, everybody, welcome to another segment of Beer Nuts. Tonight we are missing Chris, unfortunately, but I'd like to introduce you to the rest of the crew. Dugout.
Hey, everybody, how you doing?
Uncle Pete.
Good to be here.
Glad to have you back from Canada. And tonight we have Ross from North Carolina joining us. Welcome, Ross.
Hey, nice to make my every so often visit.
Yeah, well, we're really happy to have you. So tonight we are going to do a show on Lagunitas Brewing Company. Beers that are very highly accessible and very affordable and very high quality, in our opinion, of great value for what you spend on beer. So before we get into their beer, we always we want to invite everyone to crack open a cold one. So please enjoy whatever you're drinking, and we aren't pretentious here. We just want to expose more people to more good beer. That being said, okay, I'm going to turn it over to Dugout for our quote of the week. Take it away, Doug.
Okay, remember, beer has food value, but food has no beer value.
Bada bing. And Lagunitas has great beer value.
That sure does.
Oh,
yes. I saw a quotation from the Lagunitas guy. He said, beer speaks and people mumble.
Sometimes my beer mumbles and I speak.
Sometimes I mumble after too much beer.
Well, we might be mumbling tonight because we got some strong ones here.
Yeah.
I've got the gnarly wine, but we're going to save that for later. I think we'll kick off the show. Why don't you start us out, Uncle Pete? Because I think you've got a good beer to start the day out with. So I'll let you take it away.
All right, here we go. Lagunitas, right on the label. It tells you how to pronounce it with emphasis on the knee. But I got Hop Stupid here, and we're going to start out with a nice ale that comes in at 8% by volume, 102 IBU for you. So this one, from what I've learned about it, is they actually use hop extract for this beer. When they started brewing this beer, they determined that instead of plugging up their whole brewing system with all of the mass of hop debris that goes into the kettle, somehow they perfected a hop extraction system, and they were able to really jack up the hop influence in this beer. So let's give it a pour. And it's nice and cold too. Put on a really nice head, very light in color. Oh man, it's aromatic. I mean, this is going to be hop stupid all right at 102 IBU. I think after looking at some of the things on the Lagunitas website, they said that they used every hop that starts with the letter C and also Simcoe. So there's more than probably half a dozen different hops in this beer. Well, definitely is hop forward. It doesn't have really a huge malt backbone. I mean, it's the malt's going to be fairly undetectable with the hop punch this thing puts on your palate right off the bat. It's complex as far as the hops go. It is very juicy, fruity, citrusy. Dried me right out. Very dank and syrupy. Kind of slippery. I mean, it's definitely meeting the expectation on the label with Hop Stupid. I mean, this thing is stupid full of hops. It's definitely it's not a huge malty beer. If you love a hop bomb, this is the one for you. Have you tried it, JR?
Yes, I just poured myself one. I also have one here, and I hadn't had this in quite a while, but I can always remember being able to get a bomber that's for like $5. So
what a deal!
It is really, it really does pack a hop punch. I mean, it's not pretending to be something. It's not. It is not balanced. It is all hops, but in an enjoyable way. I don't mean that it's badly unbalanced. It's just meant to be tilted. The axis is tilted all towards the hop. It's not. It's a hop bomb for the ages. I think 102 IBUs. Let me check this out. I have it. It's 102 IBUs, 8%, and it'll knock you over good. And I remember buying a bomber of this for $5, and you were pretty hop stupid by the end of that bomber.
Yeah, if you're a hop head, I mean, this one's for you. Definitely. It's a great.
Well, one of the things that Dugout can probably shine some light on is using of the hop extract. I've never used hop extract, but I believe Dugout is homebrewed with either hop extract or hop oil. Isn't that right, Doug?
Yeah, I've done a couple different batches with it, and both have turned out pretty phenomenal. One of the best batches I ever made was a double IPA for my cousin's wedding, and I used hop extract in that, and Citra and Mandarina hops, and wow, it was amazing. I mean, there's a little trick to using it. It can really gum up your equipment if you just pour it in. So, there's some nuances to using it, but the results are great.
This should be right up your alley with all the hops.
Yeah,
being the hop head you are.
Sure they also do a pretty big dry hop addition for the aroma, as well as using the extract in the boil. So,
I don't miss any opportunity to inject more hops in. Ross, is this something you've ever had?
No, I mean, it's definitely on the shelf around here, but I've not had it.
Ross is probably the anti-Doug with the hops. He prefers the darker stuff, which is fortunate because he'll have that covered later tonight. But, I want to read, as I always like to do. There's a little funny story here on their website. It says, "Clean this mess up or else we'll all end up in jail. Those test tubes and the scale, just get them all out of here. he was referring to the complex supercritical CO2 hop extraction equipment set up on the table in the lab across from the brew house. Hop extracts are for the big brewers, he thought, suitable only for crummy, substandard, and barely passable industrial lagers, not the subtle and elegant craft beer made here. But wrong he was. The new brewer does not eschew any possible inputs. In this case, the mountain of extracts will replace the mountain of hop vegetative material in the kettle, thus creating cleaner hop flavors and preventing the otherwise spinach-like mess of a kettle full of super hopped wort from clogging up a pump or worse. The sensuous honey-like amber ooze was administered intravenously to the wort kettle, and the sacrament was complete. Another kettle of hop stupid is once again raised up and fermented on high. That was kind of some deep thoughts there. I wonder if they were partaking in some other hops when they wrote that.
Hop vegetative material might have come from a secret garden somewhere in the foothills of Petaluma.
Well, it's too bad Chris isn't on this episode because it's no secret that Lagunitas has a long history with the 420 vegetation.
Yeah, I think there's some significant connection to that part of the culture out there. Having lived in Northern California myself and not too far from Petaluma and the North Bay area where this place is located, at least where they started, I can appreciate the history.
Well, and they've
San
brewed a beer
Francisco
based on
Giants
that
country
history.
where they always used to say for Tim Lincecum, let Timmy smoke.
So you know a little bit about Lagunitas, JR. Weren't you saying something on another episode that we did about they're tied up now with another big brewer?
Yeah, they were purchased, I think 50% interest in Lagunitas was purchased by Heineken, with the agreement being that Heineken wouldn't alter their U.S. business in any way. It was really a conduit for Lagunitas beers to be made available to internationally, globally, with Heineken being such a global brand and available in most of the countries of this earth. So it's really not a bad thing. A lot of people look down on all these mergers, acquisitions, but as we preach on the show here, if it gets more good beer in more people's hands around the globe, I'm all for it. So I think in this case it was a win-win for both Heineken and Lagunitas to partner. And a funny story is when they were merging, they had their little press conference. They kind of joked about the 420 aspect being that Heineken is in Amsterdam, where cannabis is deregulated, and Lagunitas, who has a history of early history of allowing cannabis to be consumed in their brewery until the federal government nearly shut them down, which also leads to the story of the undercover shutdown beer, which I don't think we're going to review tonight. I think we did that on a previous episode. But yeah, there are some parallels there, so I guess the culture is kind of matched for them to be partners.
Yeah, I think they did get served a suspension 10 or 12 years ago, for the feds were thinking that something fishy was going on there at the brewery with some of the vegetative material.
I'm pretty sure. I think it was Friday afternoons. That was like a happy hour where lighting up was, I guess, accepted, and it kind of got pretty popular. And at some point, somebody either dropped a dime or the authorities got wind of it and said, "No, you can't do that." And so they were, I believe, served legal papers or told cease and desist, or you will be out of a brewer's license and out of business.
Yeah, it says they were suspended operations for 20 days while the investigation happened.
Yeah. I think we're looking up some material.
Yeah, good call on that.
Expanded their operations as well in the last 6 or 7 years. They've moved into a big brewery operation they opened in Chicago in 2012.
Yep. Yeah, they have another brewery in Chicago.
This year they're opening one up in Azusa, California, which is just east of LA, up in the hills near Pasadena. I used to work in Azusa, as a matter of fact, when I lived out there. So yeah, they're expanding very well, and looks like they're getting into the millions of barrels of capacity.
Well, they're definitely one of the big players, and one of the reasons we wanted to do this show for a long time, we've been touting the value that they bring. That, you know, they're usually a couple of dollars lower than a lot of the other craft offerings, specifically in that bomber size, where a lot of bombers are $7.99, $8.99, $9.99, $9.99, and you can usually get a Lagunitas for, you know, right around $5-6. So it is a great value, and all the beers are solid. I've never really had anything I didn't care for, and it's a fun brand and fun people. I remember meeting some of the CEO of the company and the brewers, and there was a party in Las Vegas at one of the conventions that I was invited into their party, and boy, do they know how to throw a good shindig. That's all I'll say.
That sounds good. Well, I love this beer. It tastes great. It smells great. I'm really enjoying finishing this bottle, and I look forward to more good beers from Lagunitas.
Amen. Well, all right. Who wants to go next? How about you, Dugout?
All right. Got first beer here is Lagunitas Maximus, and it is a double IPA. It's coming in at 8.9%. And 72.41 IBUs. They really get into that, nailing it to the exact decimal point here. So I've always been a fan of this beer, and for a couple reasons. First of all, it's delicious, and I'll get into that in a second. But secondly, the price is right for what it is. A lot of times for double IPA, you're paying anywhere $12, $13, $14 and up for a 6-pack, and this is well below that. I've seen this below $10 on a 6-pack before. Pours sort of a golden cross between gold and amber, and the nose is sort of citrus and pine, as you'd expect from a West Coast IPA. And it's got a nice head to it, some good lacing. And the flavor takes over where the nose left off. You know, you're getting a lot of citrus and pine. It's got a nice bitterness to it, almost a sour bitterness to it. Can taste a bit of malt, but this beer isn't really designed for you to be malt forward. It's definitely a hop forward beer. I just think it's outstanding. I'd like to say I could put away a bunch of these, but I don't do that much anymore. I don't have that kind of stamina anymore for these kind of 8 or 9% beers. So a few beers, 3 or 4, and I'm good to go with this stuff. I mean, it's really drinking well. I pulled a single of it, and I thought, maybe I will get a 6. So I did get the 6-pack of it, and I'm happy I did. This is drinking phenomenal.
Well, their website says kind of like our IPA on steroids. Flavor so hoppy it threatens to remove the enamel from one's teeth.
Well, I guess I wouldn't go that far, but it is pretty hoppy. It's really a nice drinking double, and you get a little bit of a burn with it, but and that's not a bad thing. I mean, it lets you know that what you're drinking has a pretty good kick to it.
Anybody else? Have you had this one, Pete?
I have not had the Maximus, no. I'd like to.
I don't think I have either. I don't recall ever having it. So
I can remember buying it, getting started on it when I was on kind of a budget, and just to sort of treat myself. And I remember getting these 6-packs probably for about $8, $9, right in there. And for the kick and for what you were paying for it was really, really well worth it.
Alrighty then. Well, we ready to move on to the next beer? How about you, Ross?
Okay. I guess I'll start with the brown sugar. And get everything here. I was just looking on the website. Apparently, they've been making this since '97. I didn't know that. So it's a little bit. I would say it's a slightly reddish brown in color. The smell is a little malty, little pine in there, I guess, a little vanilla. I've had this. I haven't had it recently. I picked this up a few weeks ago because I saw it sitting on the shelf, and I hadn't had it in maybe 2 years. So this is my first. That's my first glass in a little while. Ooh. Mm. It's sweet, malty. Maybe a little bit burnt taste to it. Just very slight, little bit citrusy. It's nice and smooth. Not getting too much carbonation feel out of it. It's something that I can certainly drink a lot more of. Let me go back to the website. It says it's 9.7. It doesn't taste. I mean, it doesn't have that feel to it that it's that high. But it definitely has a little bit of kick to it.
Yeah, the website says dangerously slammable.
Yeah, that's probably sounds about right. What I liked about looking, I was looking earlier, and they included a recipe for something on the page for this beer. I want to say it was some
Sweet
kind
potato.
of pie or something. But
Sweet potatoes, yams.
oh, candied
Candied
yams.
yams.
Candied yams, yeah. And so yeah, I thought that was kind of neat. They had thrown some pairings in there to go with. I was unhappy that they decided that this should be paired with pumpkin flavored things, because that's not my favorite thing to do with beer. But, it's definitely very drinkable, very just smooth. And again, that the alcohol just doesn't taste like it's there, but it just doesn't have that heavy feel to it. But it says 9.7, so I don't know what else to say. It's got the smell is nowhere near as strong as the taste. You can pick up the just slight hints of things, but when you taste it, it's all there.
Well, the website says, we believe this special ale is something unique. Feeding brown cane sugar to otherwise cultured brewery yeast is akin to feeding raw shark to your gerbil. It is unlikely to ever occur in nature without human intervention. And it looks weird besides, but it has happened and now it's too late.
Yeah, that's actually in tiny text on the bottle at the top as well. So
Yeah, they come up with some pretty cool stuff.
Need to queue up
I also
some Rolling
like
Stones, brown sugar.
their limited release series. They call it the One Hitter series. Really a bad episode for Chris to be missing.
I was going to say there's a couple more pieces of trivia on the Wikipedia page. Apparently, which I think it's funny. All their production outputs always end in 420. So like last year they produced 916,420 barrels. And apparently they lost a trademark battle with Sweetwater, and they had to take 420 off all their labels.
Oh well, somebody's got to keep the lawyers in business. All right, well, thanks for sharing that one. I've had it before, and I really like it. Kind of jealous. Wish I was drinking one now.
It's seasonally in the fall and winter that it comes out. So normally, I guess it starts showing up October time frame, but then it's gone off the shelves now. So I guess it doesn't make it much past Christmas.
Yeah, probably not a good idea to drink one of these in the heat of July at a 9.7 ABV.
Brown sugar. How come you taste so good?
Alrighty then. Well, thanks for sharing that one with us. Let's see, what do we got? What else do we have left here? Pete, you want to do your other one, or you want me to go into the gnarly wine? I guess everything's already been so strong.
Oh, let's take turns.
I think everything was like 8 and above so far, isn't it?
I know the Westified's over 12, so I saved that for second.
Yeah, I found a Westified too, but it was last year's and it was in a bomber, and I'm like, I'm not opening a bomber of this by myself. Because I've already got the gnarly wine is a bomber by myself, so I am introducing to you the Lagunitas gnarly wine. Old gnarly wine, I might add, and this is the 2015. So this is a couple years old. A little bit of age on it, which probably isn't bad for a barley wine. So I just opened up the bomber here. Let me get my glass. Let's see what this guy's got going on. I love the picture of the dog on the label. That's the first cool thing. So I'm pouring this. It's a very dark red, almost like a little bit ruby to brown. You can see right through it. It's got a really nice clearness to it. Kind of glows like ruby red. Nice, very healthy head on this. And a one finger head. It just looks really wonderful because it's nice and clear. It's not murky at all. Tasting it first, or the aroma is actually pretty hoppy. Pretty strong hop, which I wasn't sure what to expect there, but let's take a sip. Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot going on here. A lot of the solid that you get that nice caramely, but it's that American barley wine punch where you got not only do you have the strong malty caramel dark fruit, but you got that real strong barley kick or the hop kick along with it, reminiscent of an American barley wine style. Very, very strong. You can tell it's very boozy. So it's boozy and it's just got a kick to it. It kicks you right in the gut. But it's flavorful. It's definitely a sipper, and it'll definitely help you sleep well at night. It's a great for this kind of winter weather here. Winter warmy. It's going to warm you up. Let's see here. It says first sip is for thirst. The second one for pleasure. The third sip is for knowing, until the fourth for pure madness. Surprise! It says 10.6%. I expected it to be stronger, but that's quite enough. Get you there. So a lot of people favor English barley wines over American barley wines, and I like all barley wines. And this is definitely an American style barley wine. It reminds me of anybody that's ever had Old Guardian or Old Ruffian is another one. It's a great barley wine. This is a style that I like. Not everybody can stomach these, but I like the strong.
I wonder, do they still make it anymore? I'm not finding it on their site.
Oh, you know what? I don't know. This is a 2015, so maybe it's no longer produced.
I mean, I don't find anything in reference to it on their site at all.
Well,
was it a collaboration or was it?
I'm looking down under limited. I don't see it there. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe this is a dinosaur.
Yeah. I know when we read about the brown sugar, it said that brown sugar was kind of a mistake that they had made when they were trying to make a batch of the gnarly wine back in the early days when they first started brewing. And, they stumbled upon, a good mistake, actually, for the brown sugar. But...
well, apparently it was a really good mistake because now that's still made and the gnarly wine isn't.
Right.
I'm sad to hear that because I really like this. But... the breweries go with what the consumer wants, and maybe this wasn't a big seller, so they decided to go in another direction. But you know what? I can still enjoy it, and I am.
Awesome. Well, it's nice to see, that they've got, in the spirit of the big beers, I mean, a barley wine is definitely one that should be on the list. So
maybe we can look up like a Beer Advocate review and see if they I don't know what happened to this. It must have been discontinued. Has anyone else had this?
I have not.
I have not, no.
I've not.
Oh, well, you know what? It says old gnarly wine, and that's what this is. Doesn't say retired on their website. It's got a 91 American barley wine. Yep. Aroma is toffee, citrus, and dank hops. Caramel, burnt sugar, citrus, resinous hops. Yep, all that applies. I'm not sure. But it's got pretty good, It's a solid as they come American barley wine. 10.6%. So with that being said, I think I'm just going to kick back and let you guys talk because after that four sips, fourth sip, it says I'm going to be in another world. So I'm on my way.
You just entered the Twilight Zone. All right, well, I'll take off with one then. And as long as we're heading up the ABV scale, I guess I'll just kick it up another notch here. I've got the Lagunitas 2016 one-hitter series, the Waldo's Special Ale. And even though this is it's going on a year old, I suppose, it says here on their site that they're going to release in April of 17, the 17 version of the Waldo's Special Ale. So I got the 2016 and 11.25%. So we're going right up that scale. And we'll open her up and give it a pour. And I suspect this one's going to be very danky, just like the Hop Stupid. The site says 100 plus on the IBU. And it's probably going to have a huge malt backbone on it because the original gravity was 1.105. I think on the Hop Stupid, the original gravity was like 1.085. And just for, the non-technical folks out there in brewers' terms, original gravity has given you an idea of how much of the sugars have been able to have been extracted from the malt. And the higher the number, the higher the efficiency of the malt, sugar extraction from the malt, and probably the more sweetness and heavier mouthfeel you're going to have with the beer. At any rate, this has just as much of a head on it as the Hop Stupid did. Very bright white, about a good 2 fingers of head on it. A little bit darker than the Hop Stupid, leaning more to the amber shades. Aromatic in a different way. I'm getting some of pine, and I'm also getting some kind of, I would say like tropical fruits, actually, on the aroma. Kind of floral. Oh, yeah, definitely hop forward, as well as a very nice, sweet maltiness that's really trying to balance it out. So much different than the Hop Stupid, where the Hop Stupid was all hops. This one has a lot of nice sweetness to it, a nice syrupy sweetness. There's a story behind the Waldo's that, these guys that they guess they called themselves the Waldo's. I don't know what the name came from. But they used to hang out, and a friend of theirs gave them a map to a secret garden where they could go and pick some vegetative material. And day after day after day, they actually would meet at 4:20 and take off to leave and take their treasure map and get in their car and go off to Point Reyes on the coast of California looking for this secret garden, which I don't think they ever found, according to the story. But that's where the Waldo's Special Ale comes from. And in fact, that's where the history of the term 420 comes from, starting with these guys who called themselves the Waldo's. So,
yeah, let me just say, Pete, I found a couple of these in the back of my beer fridge, and I gave one to Pete for this episode. It's really a travesty that I didn't drink these fresh, because this really should have been drank within like the first month or two after it was released. It's like a triple or quadruple IPA is really what it is. And it's really one of the best IPAs I've ever had when it's fresh. So it's obviously past its prime, but when you get that much hops going on and that much alcohol, it still preserves it to, so it's not horrible to drink it now. So
not at all.
Just wanted to clarify that, if we reviewed this when we have a fresh one, it would probably be a lot more hoppy. The hops, I'm sure they've faded, although I've got so much barley wine in front of me, I'm not even going to open my Waldo's.
Yeah, it's hard for me to tell, the fade without being able to compare, because I have not had one of these fresh. But no complaints from me. I'm enjoying it. I like the sweetness. There's still plenty enough hops to go around, and I'm going to drink the whole thing.
I can only advise anyone, if you ever see this in a store, or if you're there when the order comes, disappears very quickly from shelves. And by all means, I highly recommend you grab it because it's only out once a year, and it's one of the best IPAs I've ever had.
Coincidentally,
it's called a special ale, but it really is something special. So if you see it on tap or you see it on the shelf, grab it. If you ever see this, you won't be disappointed.
It's coming out on 420.
There you go. And not even Sweetwater can stop them from doing that.
Yeah. It was very popular around here, among my friends who are very into their IPAs. It was definitely high on their list when it came out.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate the share, JR, and I'm enjoying it.
We'll do the right thing and get you a fresh one on 420.
Okay.
Actually, remember going
it was
on April 20th last year.
It was
the official release date.
It was kind of hard to find around here, and then I was in business in Indiana. I just happened to stumble across a bunch of it. So, unfortunately, over here where we live, we don't always get the amounts that other people do of certain beer releases. So I was very happy to have, I think I bought about a case of that stuff. And, you got to drink it quick because it does fade fast.
It wasn't a sellout in one day kind of thing around here, but it was probably around for about maybe a week and a half, and then that was it.
Yeah, most retailers in this area were maybe lucky to get a case if they were getting any at all, and that's a shame because other parts of the state over in Illinois there were case stacks of it. In Indiana there was plenty of it to go around. So I guess it's one of the few disappointing things of living in the area that we do live in. We do get access to some great beers, but on the other end we get shortchanged a lot of times with very low distribution from certain beers where the distribution is actually available. It's just, for whatever reason, not brought into this area.
Well, perfect example of that is the beer that Ross is going to taste later is the High Westified Coffee Imperial Stout from Lagunitas. Ross sent me a 6-pack because he said, oh, yeah, we could get that on the shelves, no problem here. And here in Michigan, they were single bottles. Anybody that got it got only a case or two, and they were like, one 12-ounce bottle per person. And I told Russ, he goes, oh, I can get the 6-pack of that, no problem. So there's a perfect example of how, we vent about our distribution area really doesn't get enough to meet the demand, in my opinion.
And I my rant is you were venting in a very restrained manner there. I commend you for
that. You mean you condemn me for that?
Well, it's not that we can't get beer, It's just, it's a shame that when something like that particular one comes out, that you don't have good access to it, even though it's available. I was sort of the how rare is this beer situation, and I think a lot of this came out with some of Goose Island's marketing strategy of holding things back and actually creating more of a demand than in a false shortage of supply, so to speak.
Well, I was also talking to Uncle Pete earlier tonight, and he said he's never got to try the High Westified because it was so hard to find. So I promised him that I'd give him one of the ones that Ross sent me. So we'll make sure that you get to try that, Uncle Pete.
Thank you. The last 2 years I've gone and searched for it, and I've always been like not even a day late, like an hour late. Oh, we just sold the last one. Like you said, JR, we got a case and we're selling one bottle at a time. And by the time I got there, even having gotten to a local shop, let's say I left work at 4 instead of 4:30, and it was all gone already.
Meanwhile, in Durham, Russ has it sitting on the shelves like a shelf turd.
Well, it was there for a couple weeks, but yeah.
Well, it was there for a couple hours at our stores.
Yeah. But yeah, it was. If I'd have known that, I'll buy more next year. When John and I go to an Eagles game, he can schlep some back with him to Michigan.
Amen. And I'll make sure and bring you a keg of Coon and creme brulee. All right, Dugout, I think you'd probably be next up in pecking order here.
All right.
All right. Next one up here. I have a bomber of Lagunitas Imperial Stout. It's comes in at 72.45 IBUs, 9.9%, so just a scratch below 10. And original gravity we got at 1.092, so pretty well fermented out on this one. And the smell, it pours just thick black like you would expect from it's a Russian Imperial Stout. It's very dense, with a little bit of tan head to it, and some lacing. I get sort of a sweet smell off with the aroma and some chocolate, some dark malts, almost kind of dark fruit smell. And the sip is, wow, it's got a nice sweetness to it. It's got a really chewy, bready malt flavor. It's probably sweeter than some people care for, but getting really, really heavy amounts of chocolate and sort of burnt caramel, and some fruitcake notes, sort of dark plums and raisins. It's really kind of a full, thick body to it. It's almost syrupy in a way. Beerup, isn't that our term? But it does have some, at 72 IBUs, this does have a pretty good hop kick to it. For a 10% Russian, it does not have that burn. And I sort of wonder how long this bottle's been sitting around. I don't see a date on it. But I've got a feeling it might have a little bit of age on it, which is definitely not a bad thing for this beer, because it's really smooth. And this is another one of those, when we talked at the beginning of the show about value. Here's a 22-ounce bomber, 10% beer, and it was $8. I mean, how can you go wrong with that?
That's great.
It's incredible. I mean...
I mean, I'm looking at bombers today, and they're, $14.99, $15.99 and up.
Sure. And like a Russian Imperial Stout, I mean, you're definitely in that $14 to $15 range.
I guess if they dip the top of it in wax, they could add on.
You can get $20 for it then.
That sounds.
But
really
yeah,
good,
I'd say
I mean,
this
really
is all
does.
around an outstanding Russian Imperial Stout for the money. I mean, could you get better? Yeah, but for the price, no, I don't think you can. I think it's just really a great, solid beer. I'd definitely give it, if I were rating it on a scale of 1 to 5, it's definitely over a 4 for me. So I'd give it maybe a 4.25 on that scale.
Yeah, and we all know as brewers that when you make something strong like that and rich, it takes a lot of ingredients, so it's more expensive to make. So to be able to, market this at a fair, affordable price is really, really what drove us to want to do Lagunitas as a show, because it's like old reliable. You can never go wrong. You're never going to get a dud, and you're going to get a good value for your money. And so it's kind of a go-to brand that, like when you're traveling or something and you might go into a grocery store and there's, the selection is, fairly limited. You'll always be able to find this is an old standby that you can always rely on. So before we go to our last beer that Russ is going to review, does anybody want to just chime in on some of the other beers that we didn't get a chance to taste tonight?
Or maybe even some of the ones we've already reviewed on the show, like Lagunitas Sucks. I think it's phenomenal drinking IPA.
Especially in the 40-ounce bottle.
32-ounce, right?
Oh, I thought it was a 40.
Like a mid-size.
Yeah, it's a 32. And we reviewed that way back when, very, very much at the beginning of the show, when we used to all stuff into Chris's studio. And then try to drive home.
Well, there's another one that I really like called Citrus Enesis Pale Ale. That's one of the one-hitter series, and it's brewed with blood oranges. That's another one of my favorites, and it's out right now. I actually was going to pick some up, but all they had was 12 packs, and I didn't want to buy 12 of them because I don't buy 12 of anything. But it's highly recommended too. Really nice, nice blood orange pale ale. Tasty. Anybody else? Any other Lagunitas favorites that we didn't have time to review?
I will. I'll say this: heading into talking about the High Westified, I had the Willet, which was another barrel-aged stout that they released last year. We had one of our local, places with a fair amount of taps had like a BA week or whatever going on, and I guess this stuff had just come out in September, and their BA week was in October. So I don't know if you ever had that Willet, but that was incredible. And then somebody had told me, hey, I think the High Westified is pretty close to that when it comes out in bottles. And I got to say, it was. The Willet was really good, and so I couldn't wait to get some of the High Westified. I hadn't had it before this year.
I have never seen the Willet in our market.
Well, it doesn't.
No,
They
I
don't
haven't
bottle
either.
it. I think it's only on tap.
It's only on draft, but I've never seen it anywhere.
I've never heard of it either.
It was really good. It was, by the time I get done with the High Westified, it was as good or better than the High Westified was, and that's why when a friend had told me, hey, this High Westified is like, it's basically that, just slight changes to it, and I was like, okay, well that sounds good to me.
Probably.
So I recommend if you ever get a chance to try that, go for it. It was really good.
I see it on their website. It really does look fantastic. And then there's one other I wanted to mention is the Born Yesterday Pale Ale. Comes out in October. That's the fresh hop, like wet hopped, unfiltered, and it comes out, and I know they rush it to market, where it was literally, it comes into the stores and it's got yesterday's date printed on it.
Yeah.
When that comes out, I buy a 6-pack, and I like stop drinking anything else until that 6-pack is gone, and it's a real treat.
I enjoyed that last year. Yep.
Another one of those that if you see it, you should grab it.
I gotta admit, any of the Lagunitas beers I've had, every one of them has been, fully flavored beer. I mean, there's nothing that's been weak or, you know what I mean? They make beers that have really a lot of good taste and good aroma. So very satisfying.
Amen. Well, speaking of very satisfying, we're going to let Russ review the final selection of the evening, the grand finale. I'll turn it over to you, Russ.
Okay. Crack my bottle now and give it a pour. And it's definitely thick and dark, and got a nice head to it. When we smell this, it's having had this before and liking it, I can tell you, it's another one where the smell doesn't come across as much as the taste does. There's some good smell there. It's moderate coffee, and you can definitely get the whiskey smell in a little bit of hints of some other things in there, dark fruitiness, a little bit of malty chocolate, but it's the taste which that just hits home. It's just it's coffee, chocolatey. It's obviously it's a little bit sweet. It's not the kind of sweet where you have to stop drinking it. it's what to say. You get some hints of some other flavors after a while.
Probably more of a malt sweetness than a sugar sweetness.
Yeah. It's again at the back of it, you get more of a little bit of a fruitiness to it. But it's definitely coffee and chocolate, and you're getting the age, the barrel agedness there. It's they say on the website that they aged it for 17 months, so it sat around for a little bit, I guess.
It actually says 17 freaking months. The exact words.
I had a friend who I keep trying to get him to like the same kind of things that I like, and I don't see him that often. And he was down visiting for the Flyers game early last month, and I did not get to meet him when he first got here. I was still at work that day, and he went out and got pizza. And luckily, one of the pizza place that he chose had this on draft. And he came back to my house later. He goes, I had the best beer on draft, which I thought was really funny because every time I try to give him barrel-aged things, he's had issues with them in the past. But for whatever reason, he really loved this. And I was like, well, I've got some bottles of it here then. And so he took a few of mine back with him when he left. But all I can say is that this, you can definitely, it's definitely hiding the alcohol well. It's 12.2, and there's very, very, very little burn. There's just a little bit there, but not much. And there's nothing to this where I would say there's any kind of drawback to it. It's everything here, starting with the smell and then opening up into the taste, where the things that are just hinted at in the smell just kind of really open up once you start drinking it.
How's the bourbon influence, the rye whiskey?
It's definitely there, and that's what surprised me about it was things that I've introduced to my friend that are this strong as far as the bourbon influence. He's usually not liked, but for whatever reason, this really just came through. The other thing, as we've talked about with all the others, was the price on this was very good. I'm thinking, as I recall, I don't think I paid more than $12 or $13 for the 6-pack when they were on the shelf.
That's amazing.
Which for a beer of this quality, for what it tastes like, if you're going to say, hey, I'm going to have a BA coffee stout, it's probably one of the better ones you can get, and it was, price wise compared to everything else, it comes in below all the other things you might want to put it up against. It in terms of what it is for what it costs, it's off the chart. Yeah.
It's one of the few barrel aged anything that comes in a 6-pack. Yeah. Usually they put them in 4-packs. So for them to only charge like $12-13 for this and give you 6 beers, that's like $2 a beer. That's fantastic. I mean, a lot of the beer of this caliber usually goes for $4 or $5 each. So again, we can't preach enough the great value that Lagunitas provides their customers. All right, boy.
I've still got a few of these tucked away. Not as many as I used to have, but
well, it's nice to know when you open one up. You didn't get an arm and a leg for it. You don't have to really hoard them. So, yeah, that's a great way to wrap up the Lagunitas show. Just again, another great value, solid, great quality, great price, great value, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon, other than in more countries and more places around the globe. They're now going to be a global brand, and that's a great news for everybody. So, cheers to good beer around the globe. Lagunitas Brewing, we salute you. Thank you for giving us a good deal.
Much appreciated.
Absolutely. And
I can have
from their everyday kind of beers that you can get that are always out there, to their what's known as their one-hitter series and their limited releases. There's a little bit of something for everyone there. Just some really great stuff, and they never let you down.
Amen.
The only criticism I can have of them is, and I told John this earlier, I have a friend who used to work for them. She was a rep here in this area, and her only beef, and she doesn't work for them anymore because of it, is they were somewhat lax in their turnaround time on clerical things. So whenever she submitted timesheets or any kind of expense report, it took a fair amount of time for her to get
well,
to get any money back from them.
Kind of like when you go down to the island,
you and I have been in that boat.
And like me moving a little slow, maybe too many 420 breaks.
after a while, it got to be a little too frustrating for her, so she didn't work for them anymore. But yeah.
Well, all I can say is I'd work for these guys in a heartbeat. I like the culture. So, once again, a cheers to Lagunitas. Before we sign off, anybody have any beer news for this week? Any stories you saw? Anything you want to mention? Any new beers?
Yeah, I was up in Toronto this week again and hit the Three Brasseurs. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Three Brewers Brewery. It's a chain, actually. I think between Toronto and Montreal and Quebec, and there's one other location. They had about 20 facilities, tap rooms, and they had a decent, variety, a decent selection, and enjoyed eating dinner there and having a few beers. So I'm starting to browse around Toronto, and actually the manager at this location actually shared with me the names of about 10 other breweries that I should hit in the general vicinity. So I was pleased to be able to, being out of town and a stranger in a strange land, pleased to have somebody give me some guidance, where the breweries are and where the beers are. So I'm enjoying my travels, even though I probably work too many hours every day, but I try to find a little time to get out and have some of the local beer.
Well, maybe we'll have to do another Canadian beers episode. One a year I think is appropriate. And also, when you bring back some Canadian craft beers, slide a couple extra bottles my way, and I'll send them down to Ross so we can try some of the beer from our neighbors to the north, or to the south in Detroit's case.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there are a lot of new beers.
I had one local beer I wish I could send you, John.
I haven't been there in over a year, so I'm anxious to buy a good quantity to bring back. So I'll definitely be bringing some back in the next few weeks.
Foothills has made something they call Dead and Berry, which it's basically the barrel-aged sexual chocolate with blackberries added to it.
Wow.
And that's only on tap. They're not bottling it. But it's been in a couple places around here, and it is just on the verge of being too sweet. It's one of those that, as I get to the bottom of that pint, I'm wondering if I want another one just because of how sweet it is. But it just stays just below that line, and you can have more of it. And I'm hoping they're going to bottle some of that, and I can get some to you.
Sounds kind of like the Lizard of Kaz from Founders.
Yeah, I would say the Lizard of Kaz was on the high side of that line. Yeah, you definitely need to share the Lizard of Kaz. This one,
diabetes.
Yeah, that one was quite.
This one came in just under the line, and at least for me it did. And I just figured I'd let you know that thing exists. I'll try to. I was trying to think if it's worth trying to get you a growler of it or not, but there's plenty of it around right now. But they just didn't bottle it. It just happens to be on tap in places.
Well,
or maybe even a holler, Ross.
For the draft, but if not, there's always next season. And as you know, the Eagles, Russ and I are both Philadelphia Eagles season ticket holders and fan, despite us living far from the city. But as you know, the Eagles will be visiting the Panthers in Carolina next year. So I have crossing my fingers that'll be on a good date for me to come down there and visit you.
We shall see. Yeah, we'll see when the schedule comes out.
Yep. All right. Anybody else who dug out anything you'd like to add? Any stories? Any breweries you visited this week?
Well, I was at Burnham Brewing right outside of Michigan City on Tuesday evening, and some people may have heard some tornadoes had gone through in southwestern Illinois, or southwest of Chicago in Illinois, and that same line of storms came right through. And there we were drinking and having a good time, and the tornado sirens are going off, and I don't think anybody cared. They had a sour release called Funk Project Number 5 with blackberries. It was outstanding. They had a somewhat of a take on an East Coast IPA called 14 Buck Chuck, and I ended up getting a growler of that. That was outstanding, and it's a fun place, and there were a lot of really good beers on tap that night. sort of a fun night. So cheers to those guys. I know they tune into the show once in a while. Love to get an episode going with them at some point, and I'm sure we will. But Uncle Pete, you know the place too. It's really kind of a fun little place.
They didn't have a Frady hole you could go hide in if the tornado came around?
Nobody really cared, you know?
Order another beer.
All right, well, I think I'm on now about my 15th sip of gnarly wine, so I'm starting to get a little loopy, so I think it's time to wrap it up. So thank you guys all for joining us, especially great to have you back, Ross. Hopefully it won't be too long till you're back again. And I guess it's time to go to Mexico. So as we say in old Mexico City, AMF.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook by searching for Christopher Media. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Thank you in advance for supporting Christopher Media by clicking on the PayPal button and by clicking through to all the sponsors who support ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net, and thank you for listening. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite foreign film, Powder Donut. Okay, what's my line?
The only line I see here on the script is get options based on your budget with the name your price tool from Progressive.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus.
The Name Your Price tool, only from Progressive.
The owl ran afoul of the comatose coxswain.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Make room for a brand new year and a brand new room. Cozy up with HomeDepot.com for up to 30% off select mattresses and mattress essentials. From pillow top to plush, medium firm to memory foam. Waking up to a wonderful new mattress is the perfect way to make your new bed and your new year. Up to 30% off select mattresses and mattress essentials from HomeDepot.com. How doers get more done. Online only, free delivery on select items $45 or more. Visit HomeDepot.com for more information.